Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon for our Backcountry Navigation webinar. Whether you're gearing up for your upcoming AIARE course, trying to sharpen your skills before the snow really stacks up, or I guess stacks up at all, or you've got big touring objectives once winter finally commits, we're really glad you're here. Navigation is one of the most essential skills in the backcountry. It's the thing that keeps you en route when visibility tanks, helps you make smart terrain decisions when conditions get spicy, and ultimately gives you the confidence to plan the kind of days you actually want to have in the mountains. So kudos for you for showing up and investing in this part of your toolkit. We are incredibly lucky to have Lyra Pierotti leading today's session. Lyra is an IFMGA certified guide whose career began in California's Sierra Nevada, where she led climbs from Yosemite Valley to the High Sierra. Her passion for skiing, climbing, and guiding has taken her all over the North Cascades and to far-flung destinations, including the French Alps, Alaska, Antarctica, South America, Russia, and her absolute favorite, the Dolomites. Cappuccinos every day. In addition to being a world-class guide, Lyra is a strength and conditioning coach and runs her own personal training business, Movementum. She's also an AIARE Pro instructor and trainer, helping develop the next generation of avalanche professionals. So you are in extremely good hands today. A quick few housekeeping notes before we dive in. Feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll address them as we go or save some for the end. Today's session will be recorded and we'll post it on our YouTube channel in a couple of days. And because we love giving you a reason to get excited about winter, everyone attending today's webinar will get $50 off in AIARE Level 1. Or if you bundle an AIARE 1 with our Intro to Backcountry Touring course, some of which Lyra is teaching, you will get a combined $200 off that package. All right, with that, let's get started. Lyra, the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you, Mary. And hello, everybody. I see a few familiar names in there, which is lovely. Thank you for coming. I was totally not sure how many people would arrive on this webinar, but basically what we're going to do is a massive expansion of what I try to pack into like 20 minutes on our Zoom sessions with our level 1 avalanche programs. And if you've taken that program with any of us at Alpine Ascents or many out there, you know that we don't cover navigation, and yet it is such a critical component of being able to arrive to any avalanche education program and truly being able to take advantage and enjoy that, enjoy it and really register a lot of the learning and engage in the process. So that is our premise for this afternoon. Thank you for coming. I'm going to try to make it as interactive as possible. And we are a relatively large group, so it might be a little goofy, but we'll do our best. For first, I'm going to share my screen and show you all our little agenda here. Where did my share button go? I got it. Okay, you should see nothing yet. Got it. We got it. Okay, great. You should see my, oh no, hold on. There we go. Now I'm back. Now I can see you and I can see my screen. You should see my agenda for this afternoon. Afternoon. First thing, and I made myself a checkbox so that I wouldn't forget anything over here. First thing is I'm supposed to tell you to take notes. So take a moment, grab something, because if you look at the bottom here, there's a couple seriously hot tips at the bottom that you will forget between now and the next time you try to use CalTopo, and I'm going to take you through that. So grab something to write this down on. It could be your notes on your phone. Make yourself a little whatever note, name it whatever you like. Joshua Tree ski touring, for example, would be a great one. Then we will move on from there. Okay, so I said it. Taking notes, everybody? Got it? Great. Paper and pencil works also. Then we're going to go on and have all of you first, plain and simply, identify avalanche terrain on this digital mapping that I'm going to show you. We are going to, with this size, we are going to focus just on CalTopo this afternoon, but at the end, if we have a little bit of time, I'll do a quick orientation to Onyx and Gaia. They are not as powerful as mapping tools, so I'm going to show you the more complicated but more powerful. And if you can get CalTopo, you will open those other ones and be like, oh, this is just a simplified version of basically the same thing with controls in slightly different places. Great. Then we will practice with that. And we've got 37 in here. I'll probably just select a few, have you send me your files, create, and then I will spot check a few of them and we'll just see where we're all at, if we have kind of arrived in the same place, hopefully. Okay, then, oh, that's all, great. Okay, I'm gonna launch a poll. Oh, wait, I only have, Mary, I only have one. Oops, that's not the one, that's not the one. Oh, it is the one. No, that's not the one.
Wait, is that the poll?
No, the other one. What
The
did
other
I
one?
level? Oh, no, we didn't make it. I was gonna do it in the chat. That's right.
Oh no.
We didn't
Wait,
make
should we
all.
not have launched this one yet?
Too much tech in my brain. In the chat, will you please tell me, and I'll just scan in the chat, tell me your like highest level of education / experience, whatever that means to you, in winter backcountry travel and in avalanche education. Like, have you taken avalanche rescue, avalanche level 1 through level 2? You've gone out with friends and learned that, you've done maybe an awareness program. So what avalanche formal education you have had, and what was your level of experience touring? That was the two. Gracious. So touring experience in the winter, and keep it as short as you can. And we'll just scan through here, and then that way y'all can see as it. Yep, great. Danny's wife is here. Wonderful. Now you get a good perspective from that guy. Great, level 1 and using Gaia. Great. So full spread here. Ooh, an antique avalanche course 25 years ago. I bet that was interesting. I've been teaching them for like almost 15 years, so I think they were probably about the same for a long time. Okay. Great. Okay, so lean towards kind of everything. Great, awesome. Cool, okay. Okay, now I'm gonna go for the poll. This should be fun. Relaunch. There we go. Oh, I almost messed it up. Okay, now you should see a poll. 3 questions. And the results are flying in. Take this moment to finish my tea. Ha, almost there, 80%. Oh, we may have sandbagged giving where have you toured a short answer. Oops. We'll see what we get on that. An exercise in concise communication. Are we all there? Almost there. Okay, waiting on 5, but I might just end it. Nope. Oh, sorry. Waiting on 3. Okay, I'm going for it. Ending poll. Share results. Where are they? Do y'all see? Oh, they're in there. Duh. Mostly, I don't actually see. Mary, do you see the short answers?
Yes.
Oh.
Because you can look at view details. What do we have? We have North Cascades, Eastern Sierras, Shasta, North Cascades, Snoqualmie Pass, Helens, Camp Muir, Mount Baker Backcountry, Rainier, North Cascades, Adams, St. Helens, Mount Hood, Baker, many things. Tahoe, Camp Muir, up until Side Country. There's like so many pages of it, so I won't read them all. But
Okay.
it gave us a word map, and Cascades and Baker and Rainier and Snoqualmie Pass are the biggest
Cool. Great.
names.
Okay, cool. Excellent. We are great. And the next follow-ups were about going to Rainier National Park. We are going to virtually head there today. It is some of the best educational and beautiful terrain that we have. Cool. Okay, okay, I'm going to reshare. All right, y'all. So oh my God, there's so many things to click through. There we go. Okay, so next we are going to go into these maps. And the first thing that, actually, move my notes here. Oops. First thing that's really important to do in our mapping is figure out what the map is all about. Really, really simple. So we'll just start at the most. It seems really obvious, but the most important thing is that you know what everything on it means. So what will help you is knowing where to find the legend. And the legend is what's going to orient you to your map. In CalTopo, it is here. So this gives you what the markings mean on your map. Really important to know where that is, just so you have a reference. I am going to show you on Onyx and Gaia where these are. They can be a little funky to find. In Onyx here, map legend. So it gives you what is going on. And then Gaia is just here. Okay. Let's go back. As I said, we were going to work mostly with CalTopo. CalTopo, now, where did my legend go? We have our legend. That orients us to here. But then what does it all mean in terms of the colors? What on the map? Let's start to look there. The really important thing to know about the colors on this map, it's fairly intuitive depending on what layer you are showing this map builder. Layer, we'll go more into layers in a minute, but this, stick with the map builder topo. This is kind of a classic one. The light shading really helps the terrain pop out to you. So that's super helpful. The green, in general, we say that was way back when in mapping, was developed as terrain which could hide a platoon of men in the army. So how dense is your tree cover, roughly? So that gives you an idea there. White is going to be snow cover, glaciers as well. So this is actually over in El Dorado. These are all, this is ice. So these are glaciers here. Blue is your lakes. And then you have rivers and streams in the blue lines. Okay. Then I'm going to pause. Can everybody see, look at my screen? I'm going to stop the share for just a moment. The contour lines. This is my favorite way. If you've worked with me before, you've probably seen me do this. I keep joking I should just get this tattooed on my hand, but let's orient to Knuckle Mountain. With this pen, you are going to draw a contour line. A contour line on a map, the lines that you were just looking at, they mark bands of equal elevation in the terrain. So it almost pops out to you like an eye, one of those eye puzzle things. If you were to take Knuckle Mountain, you draw a line of equal elevation at, let's see, I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Here's Knuckle Mountain. Okay. Here's my summit. Ugh, darn it. Stand by. There we go. Summit is, oops, there we go. Here's my summit. Okay. Oh gosh, my drawing skills are questionable. Then here. Okay, we're going to keep going. This is the great thing. If this is familiar to you and you already have it in your wheelhouse and you need to teach, this can be an awesome, oops, that needs to be steeper. Awesome way to, I'll show you in a moment, an awesome way. So there's my Knuckle Mountain. I'm going to keep going. Other knuckle. Equal elevation band. That's kind of a flat plateau on that metatarsal there. And you can see if I'm actually kind of honest about it, I'm doing a little bit of a rushed job here. Okay, so something like this. This in the middle here that's a saddle. So that if you're familiar in the terrain, that's saddle or a col could be, but a saddle would be bigger in the terrain. So that's a low point between two peaks. This would be two peaks with round little circles to mark them. And then as you can see, you go down Knuckle Ridge here. This one I drew better. You start to see it lengthens out, so you can visualize how a ridge would form. What a map is doing is taking that in the terrain and doing that with it. So now I get to walk around all day wearing that on my hand. Great, so great, like taking 3D to 2D. Fun fact, a lot of all of these mapping apps that you are going to use, I'll relaunch that so you can look at it again. All of these mapping apps allow you to toggle now into 3D, which is cool. So you don't have to be a master visualizer to really visualize the terrain. So that can help you out. Okay. Go back to 2D. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is actually get myself, I live over in Leavenworth, so I'm going to hit the center. You're going to see that. Yeah, I already told you. Remember that. There we go. Okay, so this bops me over to Leavenworth here. But I said we were going to go to Rainier National Park, so let's do that. Enter coordinates or location name. Let's try Paradise, Washington. That's funny. Great, that took me right there. Very handy. Okay. Now, continue along our, we talked about the legend. We talked about the colors. We talked about that legend. So here's trails, little red dotted lines. Is that what let's look here. Red dotted line. Oh, trail. Great. Okay. So we've got trails. What else we got? We have the scale. Scale. I'm going to come back to that. Let's find on here. Ooh, glacier. You can see crevasses. You can see a summit. And the next thing that I want to know here, when you zoom in and out, you have a scale here. So that just changed. If you're watching this scale, zooming in, zooming out. And now to print, you have another option in scaling, and this can be really useful. Like before you even dive into the complexities of tour planning with digital mapping, just printing a custom map can be a great thing to do. to orient yourself to and carry it in your pocket. For years, I would just actually carry a paper map before this stuff existed. And I'd keep it in my pocket, fold it up so that I was on, the unfolded little square was visible when I pulled it out of my pocket. And I would just keep my thumb along where I thought I was for a while. And I might just walk around for a while until I could get a view to really orient myself to where I was. So that is another whole map and compass seminar, much easier to do actually in person. But we can do a lot more with this digital tool. I do recommend playing around with a paper map. It's fun and can give you a lot of confidence. Printing this map, it's awesome. It'll put a little custom map on a piece of paper for you. PDF is usually your good choice, so stick with PDF. The scale here is the important thing. See what just happened there? The size that I'm going to print changed. 24,000, 1 to 24,000 is usually the most useful for navigation. That's just kind of the standard we tend to use. In Alaska, the smallest you're going to see is going to be 1 to 50,000. So what's happening here is when you are going to print, this is going to be your sheet of paper. This is 8.5 by 11. You're going to get a scale of 1 to 50,000. You can flip that orientation here, and then you can move it. So if I just need a really general overview paper map, I might go with that 50,000. That might take a multi-day tour so that I have an overview and a backup to my technology in the field. Or if I'm going out for a day, maybe that's as much. I would say most of the time in a day, a single map will be enough to print off like this. And then you hit print and slowly, it'll give you this. With this printing, it gives you the scale, tells you you're at 1 to 24,000 in inches, 2,000 feet, gives you a QR code to put the same map back onto your phone in any app you might be using. And here it gives you declination. So if you are going back to paper map, the declination is something that is slightly off. It means that your north on your map is slightly off from the magnet of your compass north. And that just has to do with the magnetic field of the Earth. It's different everywhere you go. If you go from here to Southern California, your declination will be a different number, and it changes over time. It has to do with magnetism of the planet itself. So know that that's a thing that will help you orient, because magnetic north is not truly towards our North Pole. That'll help you get the mapping aligned correctly. Okay, so enough of that. Let's go now into oops. Okay. There we go. Okay. Okay. Here we are at Rainier National Park. The first layer of things that we want to understand is where terrain is steep and where it is not steep. So most of you have had some level of avalanche training and have probably heard, well, avalanche terrain is over 30 degrees. Or if you're in Northwestern, you've probably heard avalanche terrain is over 35 degrees. That has to do with the characteristics of the snowpack where you are. If you go to Colorado, you're going to hear 30. And if you come to Washington, you're going to generally hear 35. And that's a kind of a community-based and a snowpack dynamic climate thing. There's a lot of wiggle room in that. And as we know, we're not going to define, hey, 29 degrees is totally safe, but 30 is sketchy. With maps, digital maps like this, we have a tool to help us with that. It's called the slope angle shading. It's an amazing tool, and it can have tremendous error. That's really important to know. So it is great as a planning tool. And it is not great for a tool to tell you what is right under your feet. That's usually visibility is what you got. You might be in a severe whiteout. And if you are in a severe whiteout, using techniques for whiteout navigation to make sure that you're not ending up in steeper terrain are going to be far more critical. Trusting your little blue dot on the map is, the blue dot is what tells you where you are in the terrain when you have your GPS set on, your location on. That is not going to tell you that you're safe for sure. You can also see like there's just really small terrain sometimes that accuracy can be a problem. Okay. So that slope angle shading gives us a really handy visual, but let's go back out of it and visualize what tells us that terrain is steep without it. First, before I move on, you'll see this. Here is an important legend piece that appears when you turn on slope angle shading. Yellow is going to be generally under 30. No color is very well under 30. Orange is getting into opening the door, as we say, to avalanche terrain. And then darker orange and red, that's getting to be prime. So above 50 degrees in the Northwest, we say your best avalanche terrain, best bet on finding an avalanche is going to be 35 to 50 degrees. You're going to hear 30 to 45 in a continental snowpack. That has to do with grain types that slide and more persistent slab problems. But climate change is a real thing, and snowpack dynamics are changing rapidly in all of these places. So we see a lot more variability in all of these places. Colorado is starting to see a lot more wet snow dynamics, and we are getting interesting persistent layers on our ice crusts at times. So 30 to 50 is generally what I look for. At 30 degrees, consider that you are opening the door to avalanche terrain. Okay, I'm going to take that away. And now we have, going back to Knuckle Mountain, when terrain is steeper, if I did a good job drawing this, this side, did a pretty good job on that side. The contour lines are more tightly packed together. And put the terrain back on. And you can see that marks steeper terrain. What's really interesting with this slope angle shading, what makes it also really helpful, is you can get these little like rogues. It doesn't look like it would be steep terrain, but that can be a really good thing to alert you to. It's just picking up more data in the terrain. So that might key you in to building a route that avoids something there, maybe building in more margins in your terrain. Okay. So I'd like to now go through and have all of you on your phones or your desktop, wherever you have access to these. You're going to start to do some things. You're going to build what I'm building in parallel, and then I'm going to have you send it to me in a link form, and I'll just grab whoever's willing to share. I'll grab it and I will put it up on the screen, and we'll just see what shakes out, and if you'll be on the spot. So if you don't mind being on the spot. But if something is off, then I just know that I didn't communicate something very clearly. So that will be my way of knowing that y'all are catching what I'm throwing out there, if you will, into the ether. So first step, let's just simply scrap everything we were just talking about. We're now just going to go into the basics of the tools. Make a waypoint. A waypoint on CalTopo here, add a marker. Okay, when you hit marker, do you see what happened? This little dot appeared. Great. I'm going to mark that waypoint 1. Very creative. Now it is in a folder called markers. Okay, that you can get very organized with this. You can make it really large. But my favorite feature is you can make a fun marker out of it. So this actually can be really useful if you need to mark specific things. Sometimes I'll use this for, like, Mary and I were planning a hut tour this summer, and we marked some of the huts here with that kind of marker, and you can see I can move it. Or there's, oh, sledding. Great. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to go back to the dot for simplicity's sake. You can put letters and numbers, all kinds of cool things. You can also change the color. So you can get really fun and organized with these things. Okay. Waypoint number 1. Whoops. Give your map a name. We're going to say Avinav. Great. Now that I've saved my map, I can share it. So be sure to share or save your map, whatever you're doing. Go ahead and take a moment and put a waypoint. Yes, great question. Excellent. Put a waypoint where I have. I'll zoom out. And let's see if people get up, and we're just going to travel there. We're going to do a little micro tour no, we're not going to do that. We're going to put it, I'm sorry. You're going to put it at the base of oops. Edit. We're going to put it at the base of Pan Face. So if you know where that is, it's right here. There. That's where we're going to put it. And I'm going to call it Pan Face Face. Got my rhymes on today.
Hey, Lyra.
Yes, you got a question. Where is it?
Oh, I think Sarah just downloaded CalTopo. Could you do just a quick explanation about how to put the waypoint?
Yes, absolutely.
Down? Thanks so much.
Yep. So keep working on it. If you caught it already, keep working on it. Yeah. You're going to put it at the base of Pan Face. And so let's see, here's Paradise. So you zoomed into Paradise, Washington, like that. That brought me here. Here's Paradise. And here's Alta Vista. I'm going to take slope angle shading off for a moment because that can be confusing. And if you follow this trail straight north, so north is always going to be up. I didn't mention that about the legend. North is always going to be up on these maps. Unless you change it, you can change it here with your zoom. Oops. Well, now I messed it up. Let me go back to Paradise. I just put that centering button puts you centered. You can move the map sometimes, but in general, the default, unless you see a little compass rose that tells you where north is turned to, your north is up. So in this orientation, north is up. So we went to Paradise, go north, 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 north. And then here, on the left, click Add Marker. And when I click Add Marker, this little dot shows up. Then I can grab it. Go ahead and grab it and give it a name. Call it Pan Face Base, and then put it at the base of Pan Face. I'm going to write a Dr. Seuss book today, I think. And I'm going to cancel that one. Pan Face Base. And in a moment, I will move on and next, but please tell me, thank you for catching the hands up. Feel free to keep doing that. And Mary will be my second set of eyes. Making a waypoint, Pan Face Base. Okay, I'll check that off my to-do list. Checking off all my things here. Great, great, great. We did that. Okay, good, good, good. Okay. The next thing we're going to do okay, did everybody, any more on the waypoint? Everybody? Okay, we got, okay. Next, a line. And the line, what I would like you to do, oh, bummer. You may, okay, if it's grabbing the whole, here, I'll show you. When I try to grab it, it does the same thing. I can't grab it. So it's a two-part thing. Click the waypoint itself, edit. And that'll bring up this box again. And then you should be able to move it around. Good. Okay, any more? Keep the questions coming if you need to. I'll keep watching. A line is the next thing. Now, what I'd like you to do is find a fun line to ski. Usually, depending on your personal style and taste, often people like to ski fall line. Some people like double fall line. And you might be one of them. It's totally fine. No judgment. Double fall line can be great. Double fall line is where you have kind of rolling terrain and you're like, oh, if I ski, I can ski downhill both in that direction and strangely that direction also. It's like kind of disorienting. Some people love it. But oftentimes the most classic descents that we are looking for are fall line. That's the line that if you grab a snowball or you drop your ice axe, oops, it goes downhill, straight downhill. That's fall line, aptly named. Fall line is really fun skiing because that allows you to, I don't know, you're going downhill, carving turns, whatever you like. So let's find the fall line. If I were going to come here, I would say, ooh, what? I'm going to give two options. They don't have to be good ones. We'll talk about how we'll build some layers and then we'll talk, oops, that's not what I want. And then we'll say why these might be good options on different days. Build a line. Here we go. I'm a skier, so I'm going to say ski. 1. I like this one. I'm going to go from, I guess I'm going to go up pan face, but whatever. Double click to end your line. I'm going to do another one. Add line. I like that. Fall line. So I'm going perpendicular. Oops, I forgot to name that one. So I did click, drag, double click, and that ends my line. What did I forget to do? I forgot to name it. So how about ski 2? Okay. But now, what about, okay, spoiler. I'm gonna turn on the slope angle shading. Now, ooh, kind of steep. What if it's not appropriate to ski something steep? I'm gonna give myself an option. Here's a line, but this terrain is gonna require some noodliness. If I leave and bail from my high point there, this way, I just clicked, and then I'm going down in this direction, clicking again. In this direction, clicking again. And I'm going to call this Edith Creek. Okay. Build all of that. Just go ahead and copy it, just to go through the exercise of, got it. Great, Lauren, got it. So go through all of that, build all of those, and tell me what questions. How do you delete or edit? Great, great. So delete would just be clicking on it and delete. Usually that's the easiest. Go ahead and do that. I will show you what happens when you edit. You grab and it becomes kind of chaos. So you can definitely do it. It's quite cool. You can get really, really nuanced. I can move this. Oops. Oh, but I went too close to that little red thing there. And then I want this in. You can get really cool. So that's how you can, oh, but I went too close to that steep terrain. I want to move that. So that's how you edit. Oh, but now that's a sharp turn. I wouldn't ski like that. There we go. Then save.
Hey, Lyra.
Yes.
Good question. When someone's using CalTopo on their phone and they want to edit a track, is there a different way to do it than on a desktop?
Let me pivot here to my other computer, my other thing. It is not as easy. So one of the reasons Onyx and Gaia are great is they are easier to build your tour on your device. CalTopo is so much easier on the desktop. I strongly recommend it, but I will show you and let's see if something happens. How do I change I did this before. What are we doing? Oh, I have to stop share. Okay, stand by. And video. Okay, did that do it? Yeah. Okay, so here we are in in CalTopo, the app. In CalTopo, the app. I need to get to Paradise. Great, got that. Now, add marker. And I'm going to zoom in. Where was I? Pan point there. Oops. Hold, long press, and then start. Oh, I did the wrong thing. Add line. There we go. Now, tap, tap, tap. It's a little disorienting. Tap. I'm literally just tapping. There's Edith. Save. And there we are. Did that do it? Also, are you able to send a photo in
What about deleting?
deleting?
Yes.
Same thing. Delete, click on it, and you'll bring up that. That's if I click right on it. It's the precision is
Okay.
sometimes the challenge
Yeah.
in CalTopo because it's very small scale. And then delete.
Perfect. Thanks,
Okay,
Lyra.
got that. And cool. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my other screen. That is great. Keep the questions coming. If you have them, I'm sure somebody else does also. Okay. That aside for a moment. I'm going to come back and hopefully that gave everyone some time to noodle around with that. Oh, did I miss something else? Oh, there's a Q&A. Can you make your long? Yes, you can make your long. Good question. Let me do that for you. Can you make your long and make your line longer? Am I sharing? No. Gosh, I've become a two-screen person, and like even two screens is not enough now sometimes. Can you make your line longer after? Okay, here we go. So to make your line longer, actually I don't often do this, so this might be funny. You are going to edit. No, hold on. Did I miss something? You are going to transform and extend. But this is actually a cool thing to know about because you can also reverse. Your line will go in from your start to your finish as if that's what you were doing, like traveling through the train. But you can reverse it if you need to. We're going to come back to why that's helpful in the advanced features at the towards the end. In your time planning, that could be useful in the way that this technology works. So hold on to that. But for now, let's just extend. Whoops. And then if you need to usually escape. No, but if you make a mistake, click that backwards thing. Oh, get it.
And then Lyra, to make a line on the desktop, was it that add button?
Correct.
Yes.
Yep, exactly.
Line.
Yeah. Marker
Perfect.
line, there's all kinds of things you can
Okay.
add. Yep, exactly. But marker and line are the main ones that we'll use. When you get really into stuff, you might use a polygon, things like that. But as of now, not critical. Ooh. One thing before. Okay. I think I did it. Honestly, I don't often do yeah. So that did it. It was a little clunky. That did work. I have to play with that one a little bit. Oftentimes, if I get it wrong, I just delete it rather than extending because it kind of is weird. Let's see what else we can do. You can split it. So there, that split it in two. I'm going to delete that one. Great. Okay. The map objects tab on desktop. Yep. And the map objects tab. Yeah. Oh, that, if you don't have it, usually it's hiding here. Did you see that there? And then the line. So there's your map objects. You can hide too. end up with more workspace. And then your add for your line, there's your add line. And let's do one more. Okay. I keep adding more here. If you can get all of that, that's great. Let's do one more marker. So go back. We're going to do a waypoint or a marker. That just dropped it there. I want you to put the marker in Edith Creek Basin. Let's say, but not on top of the creek. Maybe on the side. There you go. Let's call that Edith Creek. This not so fun fact is a very dangerous place in the springtime. When the creek melts out, it undercuts the snow and people can fall into rushing water under the snow. And that's not generally survivable. So hazard of the terrain, I can't even put a waypoint on it. I get the heebie-jeebies from it. So don't put a waypoint there. We're not gonna stand there, not gonna hang out there. Just avoid. Avoid. Okay. Let's see. We have. Okay, now y'all are going to do something different on your own. You are going to draw a track, your route from Paradise to your to the top waypoint. What did we name it? Pan face base. Do that on your own. I'm not going to show you. So you're going to go from Paradise. Here's Paradise. You're going to travel up, up, up to Pan face. In the winter, these trails are closed. I'll show you one thing. When you add a line and you start here and click, if I click on this snap to and change it to OSM, it will, oh, it didn't, there, it will snap to the trails. So that is the first one. I'll do that again. Add line. When you add a line, if you want it to snap to those defined trails, you want it to say snap to OSM. If not, just say you want it to make lines. For backcountry winter travel, you don't have the trails, they're covered in snow. So do not snap to OSM. Freehand it, make your own track. Ready, go. Oops. Delete. And I'll watch for. And if your questions went unanswered, feel free to copy paste them again. It's so hard to know where everybody's at when there's like 10 million and I can see none.
I know.
Into the void.
But we have no open questions, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, great. Okay. All right, keep plugging away at that. The next important thing that everyone needs to know. Oh, do we got a question?
Oh, we did. Where is Snap 2 on the app?
snap to it on the app. Go to add line. When you are adding a line, you'll find it. It pops up. And you just toggle to, when it's snap to OSM, the trails highlight in yellow, but keep it on just lines so you can avoid it. Also, if it is snapping to, you can usually just click off of a trail and avoid that without changing the setting. Okay. The next thing to make sure that everyone leaves here knowing how to do is to save your map, because often, especially in Washington, we lose cell service, at least for part-time until we get maybe up high. And if you haven't saved your map for offline use, then it won't load. And that's a very scary proposition. On CalTopo, the way that you do this is cancel. Oh, can I? Oh, I don't usually do this on my. I'm going to go to my phone because that's where that matters. I don't need to take my laptop. Oh, well, offline. Okay, pivot to phone. Bye. Keep working away, and I will toggle this. We'll get this ready. Oops. Oops. Wonder if y'all can see me. I will keep it. Okay, now I've got both up. Let's see if that'll work. So if that's big enough, what I have here is, oh, that's in Spain. You will, hold on, clear map.
Lyra, while you're doing that, we have a question from Elise. When you are building uphill routes, is there a linear grade range that you can target?
Yes. Let me answer that. Let me think about the best way to answer that. Stand by.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's see, here we are. Oh, I'm on my phone. You are now, oh gosh, I always have to. There it is. This has changed over the years. I always have to wait, how do I do this again? Okay, so what I have, I just went and opened, this is the same map. And because it's saved, I have an account with CalTopo and it's just under my email or Gmail, whatever. I was able to just go in to my data, find that named map. So there it is again, my data. Avi Nav is the map that we're using on my desktop also. And then download layers. What you'll see is that in CalTopo, in Onyx and Gaia, you can save hand-drawn shapes, polygons of whatever region you're actually touring in. CalTopo makes you download the entirety of the zone, but it tells me when I click that button, this is what was on my screen, the purple dots. So I'm going to download that, and then I can change what kind of resolution I want. I can add global imagery. We'll get to that in a moment, and if you might want it. And this actually, you can see I can't download it because it's already downloaded on my phone. I keep this one, as you can imagine. But if I have a new layer, if I add a new layer, then I can download more. I'll do that one more time. So you open your hamburger, the 3 stacked lines on the left there, download layers. It highlights this. This is important too. That toggles that one on if I wanted that. This is the USGS quadrant. So that's what a lot of the paper maps would, how they're organized. If you bought a paper map, an old school USGS quad, we call them. If I wanted both of them, I just wanted the entirety, then that would give me both. And that would give me nothing. So don't do that. Don't unclick, but it will populate the quad and download the entire quad for the region you're interested in. Then I'm going to download that entire quad, the purple that has the yellow highlight on it, toggle what data that I want. Oh, maybe cell coverage. That'll be new. And then I'll click that download and that will put it on my phone. And that is it. Okay. Find my cursor. Okay, let me. The linear grade range, and to answer that question is actually a lot of concepts and topics to consider, if I'm understanding the question correctly, that is better answered through the lens of the terrain and what we're doing here in a big picture sense. We are traveling on the snow to go skiing and or snowshoeing or ice climbing or snowboarding or snowmobiling, not in the national park. We are usually aiming to avoid avalanche terrain for as much of that time as we can, because that is going to be more pleasant for the way up and a lot safer. So that's one of the like major pillars of the education, the avalanche education process, is learning how to navigate avoiding avalanche terrain as much as you possibly can. These lines I drew they give us we can look at certain data points. So we're going to do more of that. So you can learn something about it, but the data, like if you're looking for a specific grade, the error in digital mapping is just a little too high. So the best thing that you really get that would, I think, give you what you're looking for is this slope angle shading. And a linear grade, I actually can't really speak that language. I don't know. That usually is answered in a percentage. And I operate entirely in angles. And that's just how my brain is calibrated with the numbers and the terrain. So it would be different from like the Tour de France, for example, I think is like an 8 or 9% grade at the steepest. And it's like really steep to bike up that kind of a hill. And you'll see a notification. So that would be like on roads and things, you're going to see a percent grade. But in the backcountry, we don't want to talk about percent grade. We want to talk about these angles. That's kind of the universal language that we use for that. And then you get more ranges rather than a specific number, because the error is, it's just hard to measure and visually hard to recognize and be that good at. As you train yourself with your tools, you measure frequency, you look at terrain, and you get a good angle at it. With practice, I can get within 1 or 2 degrees actually guessing, and that's kind of cool, but I always check. So then a bigger picture answer to that question, if we're what we are looking for is a minimum angle, and that is going to be things here that is not colored with this slope angle shading. So for example, let me give you an example of a terrible plan. A terrible plan. And so now we can practice our editing. If any of you did this, erase it, go back and fix it. So don't do this tour. Here's a terrible tour. I'm going to write it. Terrible, bad idea with a period, because it's just so bad. Okay. going to go from paradise. I'm going to snap to OSM because we said that was a bad idea in the winter. I'm going to show you a really bad idea. Great. In the winter, I'm going to go follow this trail. Snap to. And then that's it. Okay. Now somebody in. Okay, here's a great. Okay, good. Okay, so hopefully this answers that question a little better. But now all of you in the chat, tell me, why is this a bad idea? And I'm going to make it a different color, like purple. Why is that a bad idea? Yeah, it slices right through avalanche terrain. Great. So here we have this. Here's our slope angle. Orange, red, and some purple. Yeah, it goes right. Okay, great. And what about, okay, snow is super stable. Think about just putting yourself in the terrain. Snow's safe. There's no avalanche hazard whatsoever. Is that a fun way to go when you have skis or planks or even worse, snowshoes? Imagine walking across that slope. I know personally, I don't like side hilling. You end up with like one quad really sore on the uphill side and the other one like, and you just like walk like this. It's the worst. So for many reasons, period. Bad idea. Okay, great. Hopefully that clarifies that. I'm going to now delete that bad idea. You never saw it. Get out of there. Okay, now keep working on that good uphill track. So avoiding avalanche terrain, this is going to give you, the colors will give you a really, really good guidance. And then when you get in the terrain, your job is to ground truth it and make sure that that because of that error, because of the technology and the tool, because of that error, you're going to make sure that you were not mistaken. Some of these maps, fun fact, I grew up in California. I started my career in the Sierra, and there was this amazing book that I read about a lot of the first ascents in the Sierra Nevada that someone went back and did in old school fashion, like with the garb and all the stuff. It was very entertaining. It was something in the Range of Light book, very charming, and talked about just a lot of them were from what was called the California Geological Survey, which became the USGS eventually, and they were exploring and mapping these things for the first time. And some of them in these exploratory parties would just like make up features because they'd stand on a high point. They'd be like, yeah. And they just like sketch an idea of what it was. And they were like mapping the terrain. And I have been out in the Sierra in some of the more remote places. And I looked at my map and I was like, huh, that knoll doesn't exist. Like they made that up. Like literally I found things that were made up in the terrain. It was very entertaining. So that is just a fun little story to help you remember that the drawing of the maps is not necessarily perfect. There are points along the way for error. So always trust what you see under your feet. And if y'all are interested in that kind of finer tune navigating, our touring classes are awesome. And I also strongly recommend our the spring skiing around here. There's a lot of cool navigation stuff when you have low visibility and you're trying to navigate around crevasses to help with your visibility, and some really great tactics for fine scale navigation when you can't see. Okay, so hopefully everyone is working through that little tour and figured out how to save your map for offline use. The next thing, and then we have a little crash course in the advanced things. I had a feeling this would take a while. Good questions, everyone. Keep them coming. The next thing I'd like you to do is export this entire thing and send it to a friend. Or me. Thank you, Mary. There you go. Touring course. Now I'm going to move my screen. I'm going to send this, and this part is a little more self-explanatory, but there are some details. You're going to export it so that you can send it in a text message. You can send it in an email. You can probably airdrop it, which is cool. You like cross someone on the trail and like, hey, can I have your GPX? Tech is pretty cool sometimes. Look over here. Your file for Google Earth, if you have three-dimensional things in the terrain, is going to be a KML. The first one that comes up is a JSON. Don't do that one. Yeah, there you go. That'll be a good one. Stevens Pass. Here's for Google Earth. Copy the new map. GPX, it tells you what it's for. GPX for handheld GPSs. That's what you want. That's the easiest to share. It's two-dimensional, unlike the JSON just saves everything, but that's a good one to share. Like I use that one when I'm sharing my maps and things and developing really complex plans, as well as like terrains and things like that. When I'm using this, I use CalTopo with my colleagues for big scale planning for program development, all kinds of things. So this is a powerful tool. Change it to GPX, and it's way, way easier to share. Then you can check. Oh, that's a cool new feature. Yeah, that could get lost sometimes in like big shares. So then check everything and export. What that does on my computer is it just saves it to my downloads. So then you just have to navigate your computer, go to your downloads, grab your file, and then send it however you want. The easiest way I often find is to send it to my own email, and then it's just in my email, and then send it to someone else, or email it to myself, and then I can go from my phone into my email and click that, and then it just prompts you to open it. Usually your phone is smart enough to know what kind of an app can open it. So make sure that you have appropriate apps on your phone. That would be the CalTopo, Onyx, or Gaia. Let's see. The other way, I've already got it on my phone, as you saw, because it was on the same file, so I can't mess with that too much. The other way is a cool feature of CalTopo, and it's called a bookmark. Bookmark is this weird ass code right here. You can go to a phone and just add a bookmark. Again, I can't do a great job of showing this because it's already on mine, but let me put my phone up. So when you add then a bookmark, you can see my phone. If you add a bookmark, no, gosh, hold on. Nope, that's not it. Maybe they replaced it with the QR code. Oh, hold on, sorry. Newer data. Oh, there. Oh, that one's always so hard to find. Okay, so you're gonna go to your data. Here, I already have this file because I'm working on it in my account on my desktop. So it's on my phone already. But if I had one from a friend, that number that you saw in the URL, here it is. That is, so 5SR13R1 right there. I can upload it like that. So that is like literally you can text your friend that code and say, hey, go to CalTopo, create a bookmark, and you just put in that code, and that is it, and it will take you there. Super cool. So again, I'll show that one more time. I always have to fiddle around to find some of these things. The organization, there's so much going on in CalTopo that it has a little more of a bar of entry. There's your bookmark. Great. Okay. Okay, we're getting there. Doing great. What I would like, oh yes, you probably do need to have a subscription down on offline. I do personally choose CalTopo over other apps. I'll jump over and show you how, however, I keep all three on my phone at any given time. I will show you what the others have that CalTopo doesn't, but I would not do well without CalTopo. It is a powerful tool and I think is well worth knowing how to navigate, especially if you are operating all year round. But that is, I'm entrenched. I've been doing this thing long enough that, you know, I probably have some old school tendencies. I'm going to show you a couple more things that might sell you on it. But the Onyx is, it's super, it's awesome. They're doing a really good job. They're very responsive to what the public wants. I will say in my, I am a little bit cautious with the development, the rate at which they develop certain features. I'm not going to go introduce this intentionally, but if you go to Onyx and you look for a certain layer that classifies terrain and tells you if it is avalanche terrain or not, there is now a warning on it this year. I just looked and I'm grateful for that because there should be a warning. It was, in my view, as well as many scientists in the field of avalanche education and as well as the development of these tools. So like the people that work with mapping and work with decision making in terrain, the Canadians that developed the AIARE scale, it was given out, I think, too soon without the context. And that scale itself is not really meant as a navigation tool. It is meant as a starting place, and it needs to go be ground truthed by professionals in the industry and used in terrain that is repeatedly accessed by a certain operation, if that makes sense. So it's not really meant for a public navigation tool. I could talk a little bit more about that. It gets into a lot of more technical elements of the industry and how road safety work uses technology, but it is a little bit of a misapplication and some people love it. And my colleagues are among them. So that you have my opinion and please be cautious with it. Similar to the slope angle shading, it has error. So see what you think. And it now has a warning that will give you that context, that same context. Enough of my soapbox. The things that might further sell you on CalTopo and spending a little more time really getting to know it are a couple of layers. When you go, so I'm going to turn slope angle shading off. You'll notice here you have a base layer. The map builder topo, I'll just tell you what that is. What that is super cool. I often use it. What you just did, they made a layer that highlights just a little bit the tree cover. So you are actually now seeing a certain percentage of a tree cover global imagery map that filters through. You can do this. So if you don't worry if you get a little lost here, you can do this yourself with a secondary layer. And I have a slider that shows me and eventually I can't quite see those contour lines. So that's a really cool way to toggle and very deeply personalize what you're looking for. Why do I care about that? Under aerial imagery, go to this weird one called NAIP. So this is the stuff, write this down because you will forget. It's in funny places. So on your base layers, you have a secondary base layer or a screenshot or something, take a photo. NAIP, one more move. False color. Nothing happened because I'm still at 0%. So I'm going to change this layer. Watch this. Why? Super weird. The false color makes it extremely easy for those of us that operate in the Northwest here. I'll put normal color. Oh, darn it. There you go. Normal color. Look at the false color. You really can see where trees are. This can be really helpful when you're trying to assess how dense the trees are that you're trying to travel through if you're going to a new place, and what lanes you have to ski. So now if you look at the places that I had put to ski here, you get a little more information. That looks pretty sweet. It was steep. Let's see if I can, when I layer the shading, that gets a little confusing. Let's go into normal color. Still a little confusing, funky to see. Gradient, I find that a little, it introduces 20, which can be really, so on Onyx, you're going to see a gradient like this because it gives you, they've done one more thing and they have sloped terrain that's non-avalanche, but that you can actually slide downhill, very relevant to those of us that want to slide downhill so that you don't get stuck in flat terrain. CalTopo kind of squashes over that. But in this gradient, you can start to see some 20-degree terrain where you still have a little bit of pitch, whereas versus things that are flat and not colored. So that is highlighted in Onyx because it's more well tailored to the specific audience of backcountry skiers. Again, that was gradient versus fixed. I'm going to take that off. And then I'm going to go back to false color again. Okay. And I have one more thing. Yes, there is no snap to with the summer on, there is no snap to on the tour planning building on CalTopo. It's true. It's just kind of a bummer. For tour planning on my phone, I still use Gaia. And like I said, I have like 3 subscriptions. It's a little obnoxious. For me, they're a write-off. So play a little bit with, you might just want to have all 3 queued up on a trial and see what you think. If you're doing a lot of tour planning, building these things out on your phone, Gaia and Onyx are going to be better. But at the very end, I would just remember, I need to, I'll show you what might totally sell you on Onyx instead of these. There is a very huge benefit to Onyx that we'll dive into in a moment here. A couple just more random tidbits I do want to share with you before we move on. I'm going to go back to 0. I'm going to just make that go away and stick with that. Okay. Well, when you click on a point, fun thing to know, point info. If you're digging for a little more information, that gives you the elevation. Again, remember, this is imperfect. It's technology. You're not in the terrain, but it's going to give you on that point, you are at they think about 6,319 feet. The slope angle at that point might be 16 degrees. The aspect, that would be a that'll be a southwest aspect. That would be 229 degrees on the compass rose would be a southwest aspect. It also gives you UTM coordinates. You can change this in your settings to be, oh no, it did this last time. Honestly, for some reason this is freezing. Hold on. In your setting, you can change. I usually use UTM, but you can change your datum to degrees or UTM. UTM I often find more useful. You can label them, you can put them on the map if you really need it. Great, that's not not too worth a deep dive. One more little thing here for your tour planning. Uh-oh, I lost everything. Oh no, I didn't. It's right here. All right, my thing's closed. Fortunately, I had saved it. I'm gonna go back to AviNav. Okay. Now, the next thing I can do, I'm going to build a quick little line from Paradise. I don't want the snap to. I'm gonna go this away, avoiding avalanche terrain, keeping low angle. Okay. When I hit profile, I can learn about that here. The gain is 886 feet of gain. And in a distance of 1.2 miles. And then I can slide along and watch the cursor. There it is. You can see it. So as I move along that line, I can see what's happening in the terrain, more or less, and where I am on that cursor. So that's a super cool feature. The other thing that I can do is assess travel time. This here, so this travel time, it will give you hiking, off trail, and ski. This is, these are set parameters. Yes, there's our question.
Yes. Before we move on to hiking time, it sounded like there was no snap to on the app, but there is on the computer.
That might be correct.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. I don't think they've developed that one yet. So you end up just with this, like, I do a lot of tapping to try to make it realistic. But like I said, I am still, if I'm building on the fly, I'm often using Gaia still. So kind of a bummer. But you can get a rough idea. And with these tools, you can at least get some idea of where you're starting and ending. So you might get your elevation start and end, if not a perfect, not being able to snap to anything for a summer use. Oh, did they? There is snap to. Oh, great. Good. Yeah. So there is snap to now, but it's not available offline. That's funny. Totally. So summer or winter time doesn't matter too much. Summertime is nice, obviously, to use it. Okay, so the travel time then is a really good one. Travel plan does require a professional subscription. And I'll show you the difference here. What they're doing, if I click on travel plan, it gives you, you can customize this based on your rates. My custom rate, and I just kind of have it in my head for what my rate of skiing might be, or if I'm going on a trail run, I use this as well, and I know what my movement through terrain is. The Munter calculation is what's driving this, and I just Googled it, and this has a great description, much better than I can do. I can never remember exactly what it is, but it is just a mathematical equation that takes your elevation gain and your distance traveled, plus using a constant that is calibrated for walking speed, a bushwhacking speed, you can develop one for a complex glacier travel. You can, I've gotten to know my trail running constant, and so I can give myself a pretty darn good tour running estimate using this calculation of how long I think a certain run is going to take me in the summer. So strongly recommend this. There are apps out there. There's one called Guide Pace that a friend of mine developed. He's a mountain guide, and it's super simple. It costs like $5. And he is so embarrassed about it anymore. It was his first ever app. He's now working more in tech. It's genius. I use it all the time. So that's my time planning that I use personally. Again, another app, endless. But this tool will give you that on CalTopo. And as I said, you can change with the custom one, you can change the constants. So for example, down 10 is just never correct for skiing, not 120. I would probably look more at 20. So that's that. And then I'm going to leave you with my sales pitch in favor of Onyx after getting off of my soapbox around the things that they've done that I didn't like. I'll show you what they've done that is absolutely genius. Whoops. And we'll go to it here. And what they've done, so here's my home of Leavenworth, and here is the entire Washington East Side guidebook. Ski atlas overlaid. No big deal. So that's amazing. It gives you actually, I'm going to give you a two-part thing. I'm going to give you why this is awesome and why it's also terrible at the same time. It is really important to learn as much as you can about these areas. The up tracks in some of these areas are still very wrong. Thank you for adding that, Mary. GuidePace. Grab that app. It's fantastic. Let's actually just go to, some of you are from Heather Meadows, or from Heather Meadows, or from the Baker Backcountry. Let's see. So they may have corrected it. Yeah, it does look like they corrected it. They have had some pretty serious errors in up tracks. So, and the local communities in some of these places then saw people coming that weren't familiar. Now you have all this information about a new place, which can draw new people to an area. You know, anytime you open up a guidebook, that opens up information for more people to come that previously didn't have the information, which is great in some ways and offers challenges in other ways. And the challenges in some of these were that they were wrong. And so really do your due diligence, use your own best judgment in the terrain. Just because it's marked as a way to go, it's not necessarily correct, and it's not necessarily best that day. So those are really important things to consider. Basically, it is a great way to source some of your ideas and talk about terrain. And what this is it's a professional tool that, again, has been brought into the public a little bit more in a really useful way. It's called a run map, or run list in the industry is what we used to call them. And they're used in pieces of terrain where ski guides or helicopter operations or ski cat operations work repeatedly, so that they have shared names in the terrain about what this is, what that is, so that they can communicate. Very similar to runs in a ski area. Patrollers need to know and have a shared vocabulary to go respond to, like, oh, there's somebody that's on on Upper International that needs help. They know where that's going to be, for example, at Snoqualmie Pass. So when you get into Onyx, you've also bought all of their guidebooks, which is awesome. So that's why I keep that one. I don't use it personally at all in the summer. Onyx, they do have a hiking version now, but and then they have a hunting version. They kind of made their uphill. Does it still look weird? I didn't look very closely. It's definitely straight and kind of funny. Down across. And yeah. Yeah, the uphill tracks. Let's look at this one. How's this one? That's about correct. This uphill track. This one's not. This is a funny one. Yeah, so here's a good example. Northwesterners get away with this all the time, but that was something that you see this track that goes like it's on the road. And honestly, you will go there and you will see people walking that all the time. It's an obvious flat feature in the terrain. And most of the time people get away with it. It is not a good habit to build. So when I tour here, I actually take a few turns back down into here, or I leave my skins on, but I go down here, and even on my own, this is not just like showing off with students or anything. Like, I don't go under that because that's a weird habit. It's just not, like, my instincts don't let me. And don't take that away. People get away with it because they stomp around there all the time. And so avalanches will flush through early and often. But in the right conditions, you can totally get in trouble walking through this terrain. So you go down in this basin and then up over here where you can actually properly avoid and thread through this stuff, actually more over here, and then onto the on into here. So that was a good example. Yeah, and it does go high. Yeah, you're right on the other one. So, you know, it's the story of the of all of it is really using your best judgment, getting to know a place, spending the time, giving yourself time to make good choices in the terrain, and using whatever tools allow you to have that conversation with your folks. And then hopefully this has given y'all a bit of a leg up and or refresher to what if you go into another avalanche course, or you come out to one of our touring programs, or you're getting out with your friends. Hopefully that gives you a little bit more. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah, Lyra, that was awesome.
I hope so.
That was like a master class.
Wonderful.
Yes.
We'll live in the online universe.
Wonderful. I know we hit a lot of the questions along the way, which was awesome, but we did get one in the Q&A box from Sonia. I think she was having a little bit of trouble getting the Snap 2 to work on her phone. Maybe.
I would have to play with that myself.
Okay.
I didn't personally catch the update that allows you to. Yeah, so I would have to look.
Okay.
My last I checked, it wasn't working.
Okay. Got it.
Let's see if I can recreate it. I think I can hold this up. When I add, it might be that you need to like update. So when you can see, I can see the Snap 2 OSM on the top corner there.
Okay.
And then, but functionally it could, I haven't personally used it. Functionally, I find it is really hard to operate with your thumbs on CalTopo.
Got it.
That might be a source of the trouble also. You have to like really, oh no, I got it. You really have to touch on, oh, I missed it. Yeah, so here's an example. I'm like half on it and half missing it.
Okay, got it.
You botch it, use that little backwards arrow and you can go back in time.
Okay.
So I just erased one of those segments that I made. I can erase another one. So I missed both of those. And now I can try again.
Nice.
So that can, yeah, some of these things take some practice.
One final question before we all go eat lunch, or depending on like if you're not in Pacific Standard Time, eat your afternoon snack. One more question from me to you. If you could go back in time, hop in your DeLorean or what have you, and give yourself one major piece of advice when you're thinking about getting into backcountry skiing or travel, like what's like your ultimate hot tip?
Ooh, in the category of navigation or anything?
Anything.
I think there is an element that is the navigation category, but choose good teams.
Okay.
With people that are worth spending time with and that can really communicate well and are willing to make that process. One of my Josh, who y'all will see in another, we've done one of these similar webinars together, is one of my favorite ski partners and a forecaster. And early in my career, he was a mentor of mine. And we sat on CalTopo for like an hour the evening before we went out to do this tour together, because he was willing to share a lot of the information that he was learning as a forecaster. And it allowed us, we lived on opposite sides of the mountains, but we were able to use technology to do very elaborate tour planning together. And like he gave me the download of the snowpack where he'd been a whole bunch recently. And that was, a lifelong friend and a fantastic ski partner. We've done some of my favorite tours and descents together. So spend that time, like gravitate to the people that will do this kind of work with you, that will geek out on it with you, and make sure that you're all on the same literal and figurative page.
Nice, wonderful. Thank you so much for this awesome presentation. It has been recorded. We'll pop it on our YouTube channel probably in a couple days. There's other really great webinars that Lyra has done in there, so do pop around. Don't forget, there is that discount code for people who showed up to this webinar. Thank you so much. $50 off your area level 1. I'll email you that discount code in like a post-trip email. And there is that deal if you're taking your AIARE Level 1 this year and want to tack on your Intro to Touring course, maybe with Lyra, there is a $200 combined discount. So save some money. Other than that, like, pray for snow. It's like a little dry out here. Hopefully we get some flakes here pretty soon. Fingers crossed.
Thanks everyone for coming. Great
And
to
with
have you.
that, thank you so much. Let's see, and